In this video cheat sheet, we are going to be enabling a label distribution protocol, LDP, on router 2. We're going to start off with baseline show commands, show MPLS LDP neighbor, and show MPLS LDP bindings to see if LDP was already running on the router. Then we're going to enter two debug commands, debug MPLS LDP peer state machine and debug MPLS LDP messages sent to see the events unfold as we enable and configure a router for label distribution. Then we're going to finish up with the verification show commands of show MPLS LDP neighbor and show MPLS LDP bindings to compare them to the baseline show commands. Let's look at the network. We are going to be enabling the label distribution protocol LDP globally on router 2. And then we are going to override that global command and run TDP or tag distribution protocol between router 2 and router 3. I will enter my show commands, show MPLS LDP neighbor and show MPLS LDP bindings on router 2. We have some information, but as you can see, we don't have an LDP neighbor and we don't have any bindings because LDP has not been enabled yet. I'm going to enable debugging on router 2 to get its perspective as the lab progresses. Now I'm going to configure LDP, and you do that with the global command MPLS label protocol LDP. You may notice that I have absolutely no debug output. That's because of how Cisco handles LDP. We still have to implement MPLS on the interfaces that you want to run MPLS across, and you also have to implement it globally, which will be in a later video cheat sheet. That's why we don't have any output. Staying on router 2, I'm going to enter show MPLS LDP neighbor and show MPLS LDP bindings. As you can see, I still don't have an LDP neighbor even though I have already enabled it on all the other routers, and I still do not have any LDP bindings even though I have enabled LDP as a label protocol for MPLS globally on this router. Let's now focus on the interface because we are going to configure Tag Distribution Protocol or TDP on the interfaces between router 2 and router 3. On the interface, you can configure LDP, which is what we enabled globally. You can configure TDP, or you can enable both if you have a multi-access interface. We are going to enable TDP on this interface on router 2. Moving over to router 3, I'm going to enable TDP on the interface. LDP has already been enabled globally, but I'm going to override that behavior and put TDP on the interface. Moving over to router 2, I have configured TDP on both ends of the interface, and as you can see, I still have absolutely no debug output. I did all this to show you that there is a couple of steps that you have to go through. In this video cheat sheet, we enabled a label distribution protocol, LDP, on router 2. We started off with baseline show commands, show MPLS LDP neighbor, and show MPLS LDP bindings to see if LDP was already running on the router. Then we enabled two debug commands, debug MPLS LDP peer state machine and debug MPLS LDP message sent to watch how things unfold when we configured a router for label distribution. Then we finished with the verification show commands of show MPLS LDP neighbor and show MPLS LDP bindings to compare them to the baseline show commands.